Hello, Prepare5. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to Session 1. So in Session 1, we're going to be looking at pages 40 and 41 in your books. Specifically, we're going to be looking at the text in Exercise 2, the questions in Exercise 4, the reading on page 41, and the listening in Exercise 5. All right, so let's look at number 2 and see if you can name the sport that they describe. Name the sport. This sport began around 5,000 years ago in Northern Europe and Asia. People used to wear large animal bones on their feet. Any ideas? It's skiing. Number 2. Over 2,500 years ago in Central Asia as a way of training horse soldiers. This one's hard. It's actually polo. Number 3, in the 2nd century in China, when soldiers used to kick a ball around in their free time. This is a sport you all probably play, football. Number 4, in the 15th century on the coast of Scotland among the sandhills. Okay, the Scots invented this sport. It's golf. And number 5, in 1823, when a player at a school in England picked up the ball and ran with it, the sport is named after the school. Any ideas? It's rugby. Number 6. In 1891, in the northern United States, when a coach at a college invented a game to keep his football players fit in the winter. That's basketball. Okay, so we are going to look at some questions, the questions in Exercise 4. And the answers to these questions are in this text on the next page. But before we do the reading, we want to read through the questions to give us an idea of what we need to be reading for. Also remember that questions are usually, almost always in Cambridge texts actually, answered in chronological order. So the answer to question number 1 is going to be at the beginning of your text, and the answer to number 7 is going to be towards the end. But let's look at the questions first. You're going to read about lacrosse, one of Canada's national sports. Answer the questions. Number 1, who first played it? Where did it come from? Number 2, when was the first match between people from Britain and France? Number 3, is it an Olympic sport? Number 4, what is the aim of the game? Number 5, how many players are on a team? Number 6, what equipment is used? Number 7, how long is a match? So the first time that we read the text, I'm going to ask you to circle or underline any words that are new to you. You're going to need to look them up, make a note in the margins, and preferably also a note in your vocabulary list in your notebooks. Then you're going to go back and you're going to read the text again along with me, because since this is a video, you can simply rewind and go back to where we read the text and read along with me a second time. Okay, and then you'll be ready to answer the questions. So let's look at the reading here. National sports. While most nations have one national sport, Canada is different as it has 2, and both are national sports by law. The summer national sport of Canada is lacrosse, and the winter national sport is ice hockey. Lacrosse, history. Many national sports, such as cricket, football, or rugby, are popular around the world, but lacrosse is not particularly well known outside Canada. It is based on a field game played by the original Canadian people, and we first hear of it in 1637 when a French traveler noted a game called crosse. Whole Indian villages played this game, and the lacrosse field often used to be over a kilometer long. The sport became popular with people who came from Britain and France in the mid-1800s, and the first match involving this new population took place in 1844. It became more popular, and its players set up the National Lacrosse Association of Canada in 1867, which developed the techniques and rules necessary in the sport. It became known outside Canada in the early part of the 20th century. International competition. Lacrosse appeared as a competitive sport in the Summer Olympics of 1904 and 1908, but since then it has only appeared as an exhibition sport. In other words, to show people what it is like with no opportunities for medals. The Lacrosse World Championships are held every 4 years until 1986. Only 4 nations took part: Canada, the USA, England, and Australia. But numbers are growing, with 38 nations entering the 2014 competition. The medal-winning places are usually shared between the USA, Canada, and Australia. One thing that is quite surprising about the sport is that since 1990, a Canadian team called the Iroquois Nationals has taken part in international competitions, the only original North American people to do so in any sport. They have come fourth in all the recent World Championships except for 2010, when they weren't allowed to enter the UK where the competition took place, so they missed the opportunity to compete for a medal. Aims and rules. Lacrosse is a team sport, and like many team sports, the aim is to score more goals than the other team. Teams consist of 10 players who use a long stick with a net on the end to catch, carry, and pass a small rubber ball. Players have to throw the ball at the goal, a net that is 1.8 meters wide by 1.8 meters high. Each match is 60 minutes long with 4 quarters of 15 minutes each. Players can run with the ball, but they mustn't touch it with their hands. So if this is the first time that you've read the text, you're going to look up the words that are new to you, and you're going to note them in the margins of your book and in your notebook. If this is the second time that you've read the text, then you're ready to answer the questions in exercise 4. Remember that you're going to answer the questions and email your answers to me at elizabeth.inuse@gmail.com. Okay, now we're ready to do the listening, which is exercise 5. And as we always do before we do a listening, you always want to look through the text. It gives you an idea of what you're listening for and will help you do a better job. So, our directions say, listen to a boy who plays ice hockey, Canada's other national sport. Complete the notes. So let's look at the notes. And let's think about what kinds of words we're going to need to write in those gaps. So, like, game, called shinty. First played in Canada in, first match in, players in a team, use a to move over the ice, get for scoring a goal or helping to score matches, long, famous player, Wayne. So number 1, like, game. I don't know, it's maybe a describing word for the word game. I'm not sure, that one's not so clear. Number 2, it's going to be some time, maybe a year, maybe a period. Number 3, I think, is a year. Number 4 is going to be a number, the number of players. Number 5, use to move. 5 and 6 are going to be things, objects, nouns. Get for scoring a goal. You get something, so a thing for scoring a goal. Matches, long. I think it's going to say how long the matches are. It's going to be time. And famous player, Wayne, it's probably going to be his surname. Okay? So let's take a minute then, and we're going to listen to 1.18.
Track 1.18. Today I'm going to tell you about a sport I started when I was living in Canada a couple of years ago. Ice hockey. I joined an ice hockey club soon after we arrived in Canada because ice hockey is Canada's winter national sport. They're really brilliant at it too. They won both the gold medals at the last Winter Olympics. Ice hockey is a bit like field hockey, which we play here in winter, but they say it's more like a Scottish game called shinty. I think they started playing it in Canada in the late 1800s. The first match was 1875, I think, and they used to play it just on ice in winter until they could build ice rinks. The name comes from the type of stick they use. It's hockey in French. There are 6 players in a team, 5 skaters and 1 goaltender. That's like a goalkeeper. But it's quite a small goal, only about 1.2 metres tall and 1.8 metres wide. The players use their hockey sticks to move a puck around. That's like a ball, but it's flatter, so it slides on the ice more easily. It's more easily controlled than a ball. It's like football in some ways, as you have to score goals, but you get points for scoring goals or helping to score a goal. So the aim is to score more points than the other team. The matches are shorter than football too, only an hour long, in 3 periods of 20 minutes. While I was at the club in Canada, I got into the under-15s team and played a couple of competitions, which was really exciting. Everyone in the clubs in Canada wants to be Wayne Gretzky. That's Gretzky. He's the greatest player ever, they say. He doesn't play anymore, but he's scored more points than any other player. I've looked around here to see if there are any ice hockey clubs, but unfortunately it isn't a popular sport in Britain, so I can't play it. But I've started to play field hockey again now.
Okay. If this is the first time that you've done the listening, then you need to rewind and do it a second time. Remember, we always do listenings twice. The second time, you check to make sure that your answers are correct, and you fill in any gaps that maybe you didn't get the first time you did the listening. If this is the second time you've done the listening, you're ready for the answers. So here are your answers. I'm going to show them. I'm going to put them up on the screen. Number 1 is Scottish. Notice, capital S. Number 2, late 1800s. Number 3, 1875. Number 4, 6. Number 5, hockey stick. Number 6, puck. Number 7, points. Number 8, an hour. And number 9, Gretzky. Okay, so please email the answers to questions in exercise 4 to me, and I'll see you in session 2, okay? Take good care of yourselves. Bye for now.